All emails are coming out. As many as can legally come out will be coming out. Donald Trump making it very clear, you know, he doesn't care. And it actually may hurt the Democrats a whole lot more than it hurts one Donald Trump. And that's in part because of just some of the recent things we have learned over the last couple of days, as well as what we just learned in the last couple of hours vis-a-vis Democrat Plaskett. Here, watch him on the tarmac last night.
Fake news like you're a terrible reporter, and fake news like you, they just keep bringing that up to deflect from the tremendous success of the Trump administration. So a guy like Massey, his poll numbers are showing he's at 6% approval rating right now. And we call him Rand Paul Jr. because he never votes for the Republican Party. So they're using Jeffrey Epstein as a deflection from the tremendous success that we're having as a party.
Okay. So it's like a, shiny little toy. You get to watch this thing over here instead of focusing on, I don't know, gas prices, national average coming down below $3 a barrel, as opposed to, say, focusing on the CPI numbers, which are encouraging, et cetera. No, we're not going to pay any attention to that because we get this shiny little toy that, by the way, we could have come out with anytime during the Biden administration, but for whatever reason they didn't. So now he's like, okay, you know what? I got nothing to hide. Go for it. You guys are so desperate to get these things. We're going to bring them all out once and for all. Here he is last night on Truth Social saying, you know what? House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide. And it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetuated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party. He goes on to say the Democrat ops, they ought to be worried because they were the ones connected to Epstein. You had Bill Clinton, you had Reid Hoffman, you had Larry Summers, et cetera, and their relationship to Epstein. Those are the things that ought to be looked at. He said the House Oversight Committee can have whatever they want, at least whatever they're legally entitled to. In all caps, he puts out, I don't care. All I care about is getting Republicans back on point, which is the economy. It's affordability, where we are winning big. These are the things that he's focused on. He said, you don't fall in for this Epstein trap, which is essentially a curse on the Democrats, not on us, he said. Make America great again. Well, there's new evidence of that, by the way, and I'm going to get back to what Pam Bondi's doing because indeed she's taking his advice to heart. She has said that she will go forward with an investigation into the entire Democrat Party. I do want to point out, for what it's worth, that none of those emails that came out had indicated any kind of direct correspondence from or to Donald Trump himself. Instead, they had basically Epstein's private mentions of Trump, which were like totally unverified, totally gossipy. And they were shared with Maxwell and some of the others. They're just his observations on Trump. You also have no victims accusing Donald Trump of any misconduct in these specific files. And the referenced accuser, Virginia Jeff, who died, by the way, in April of 25, reportedly stated that under oath Trump was professional and friendly and never participated in the abuse. Donald Trump has, maintained that he severed ties with Epstein around 2004 after he banned him from Mar-a-Lago because of his behavior towards a staffer there. And he said, look, he knows nothing about Epstein's crimes. So there's that. There is that. Well, I want to get to the breaking news that just came out moments ago because Donald Trump seems to be kind of taking the high road in all this. We've got this Representative Plaskett, who's a representative from the U.S. Virgin Islands. Don't forget, that's where, the Lolita Express used to fly to. So this representative apparently was close enough with Jeffrey Epstein that even though he had already been out of jail once, in February of 2019, she's texting him in the middle of the Michael Cohen hearings, right, where they're trying to impeach Trump and they want to take him down, et cetera. And he's actually giving her advice. I mean, this is pretty wild. I should point out that if you're a representative from the U.S. Virgin Islands, you don't get to vote on things, but you get put on committees and you're allowed to engage in these kinds of exchanges, which you're about to see. And it just really makes you question, Epstein and his relationship with the Dems. Here he is trying to take Donald Trump out in the hearings. He's apparently watching it from his New York abode. Take a peek. Here it is, the Washington Post, saying that they have reviewed all of these documents and they have matched the texts that were sent in Pacific time with the video. This is actually a good bit of reporting.
Obama was president of the United States.
Okay. I'm going to move my
involving one
logo
driving
out of the
through a
way.
struggling neighborhood in Chicago.
Okay. Are you chewing? Are you chewing? And she writes, not anymore. This is Stacey Plaskett out of the Virgin Islands.
That only black people could live that way. Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over.
Now he says, 11/24/25, Cohen brought up Rona, keeper of the secrets. Rona was his assistant. Do you know, the first time I ever interviewed Donald Trump was probably back in 2004, and I had to go through Rona to do it. Rona, was his executive assistant. Everyone knew Rona. This was not a big deal. I think if you had ever watched The Apprentice, you probably would have known Rona. But here's this naive, frankly, idiotic, I'm sorry, when you're taking advice from the already convicted Jeffrey Epstein about what you should ask to Michael Cohen, I think that's a little off, just a little teeny bit off. I mean, she should have known this, that Rona was the executive assistant to Donald Trump, but apparently she didn't. And boy, did she love Jeffrey helping her out. Watch, 11/24/25, Cohen brought up Rona, keeper of the secrets. Here she is looking at her text message. Watch.
My friend Mr. Meadows pointed out misled this committee even today in a written submission that contradicted your testimony. You have suggested you are going to review that. Are you going to review it in our next break to correct the record, yes or no?
Okay,
Yes.
She's like, Rona? quick, 11/25/41. Quick, I'm up next. Is that an acronym? She has no clue who Rona is, what Rona is, RONA. I think it might have been spelled RHONA. I don't know. But anyway, here he writes back.
Question, you helped out the president's campaign or were involved in the campaign as a representative, as a spokesman, even in your words today. It was your idea for the campaign dating back to 2011. Is that accurate, yes or no?
Yes.
That's his assistant.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump organization?
They
and
are.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So Alan Weisselberg is the chief financial officer.
Uh-huh. You got to quickly give us as many names as you can so we can get to them.
Yes, ma'am.
As Ms. Rona, what is Ms. Rona's position?
Rona Graff is Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his. And
Good
she's
work.
involved in a lot.
Good work. Text from Jeffrey Epstein, reported out by the Washington Post. You know, they can occasionally do some good stuff. At 11:34:43. Good work. Unbelievable. So you've got a Democrat, all right, who's investigating all this and asking Michael Cohen questions. She's clearly clueless because she doesn't even know who the executive assistant in the Trump office is. She's clueless, and she's turning to Jeffrey Epstein for information. I can also tell you that it has been reported out by the New York Post that she received roughly $8,100 in campaign funds from one Jeffrey Epstein. Again, getting us back to where are the allegiances here? I mean, Donald Trump cuts him off. He's like, okay, this guy's no good. And yet you got the likes of, the JP Morgan Chase guy who's like still friends with him. You got Larry Summers, who, poor Larry. I mean, I realize that Larry probably needs a lot of relationship advice. And actually, Jeffrey's advice wasn't all that bad. I'm going to share that with you later. But Larry Summers, who was the Treasury Secretary under Bill Clinton and the former head of the Economic Council, he's going there saying, what do I do? What do I do? I really like this girl. And he's turning to Jeffrey Epstein. So it keeps coming back to all of these people that are Democrats, not Republicans. I mean, boy, oh boy, oh boy. So I would just say that it seems to be that Epstein was more in the Democrat web, so to speak, and was trying to help them take Donald Trump down. So I'm not so sure why they're trying to pin all of this, again, back on Donald Trump. But he's like, I'm not having it. We'll release all of these things. What do I care? I think he might have, along the way, first of all, maybe been somewhat sensitive to the fact that he had a relationship with Epstein, even though he hadn't gone there, etc. But maybe he was just somewhat sensitive to that. I also suspect that he's somewhat sensitive to our intel ops possibly being exposed. I mean, that's one of the theories that's been floated out there, that somehow everybody knew about this. Everybody knew how bad this guy was. I mean, clearly, the Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands lady, Plaskett, she knew he'd already gone to jail, and yet she's like, can you help me with my questions for the hearing? I mean, so everybody knew he was a bad dude, and yet they're still coming back for more. So that's what you're going to find out. I suspect that Donald Trump, again, being the patriot he is, doesn't really love that we're going to learn some really ugly stuff about a lot of people. That may have something to do with it. I don't know. But I don't think it has anything to do with him the more I see all this. And again, he's saying, bring it all forward. Come one, come all, right? Here he is, as we explained last night on Truth Social, saying, I don't care, because you know who this is going to entrap? It's going to entrap the Democrats, not the Republicans. And here he is over the weekend calling on Pam Bondi at DOJ, saying, you know what, you got to go out there, you got to investigate Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, the JP Morgan Chase relationship. That was with the banker that I guess wound up at Barclays and then wound up out, I guess, altogether, and many other people and institutions to determine what was going on with them and Epstein. This, in his opinion, is another Russia scam with all the arrows pointing to the Democrats. Records show that these men and many others spent large portions of their life with Epstein and on his island. Stay tuned. She said, okay, Mr. President, I'm on it. I'm going to do it. We're putting Jay Clayton on this. He's one of the most capable and trusted prosecutors in the country, and I've asked him to take the lead. As with all matters, the department will pursue this with urgency and integrity to deliver answers to the American people. Well, so far, what have we learned in the emails that were released that, they were salivating over at MSNBC and just salivating over at the New York Times. And it's like, okay, all we see is Jeffrey gossiping about Donald Trump. But we also saw some stuff that, honestly, guys, is really not a very good look for some of the key Dems. Poor Larry Summers. I mean, he was trying to have a secret relationship with a woman whom he called a mentee. In the Me Too movement, it's kind of a little bit awkward, right, for that to be happening. But this is the guy who used to run Harvard. This is the guy who used to be the Treasury Secretary under Obama. This is a former head of the NSC. I might be getting my Clinton and Obama's terms. He's basically, anytime there's a Democrat president, Larry Summers is in the wings as an econ advisor. And actually, you know what? I like Larry. And Larry's been on my show a zillion times over the years at Bloomberg. I don't think he came on Fox so often, but certainly on Bloomberg. And I appreciated during the crisis of summer 2020 that Larry was actually right out there and he was spot on saying, you know what, guys, you're going to have a ton of inflation because you're printing so much money. And he was right. But anyway, the poor guy, not very good with women, apparently, and went to Jeffrey Epstein for advice. So one of the moments that's come out was apparently Summers writing to Epstein saying, I said, when talking about a woman, what are you up to? And she said, I'm busy. I said, awfully coy you are. And Epstein replied, you reacted well. Annoyed shows caring. No whining shows strength. And then here's another. Okay. In one exchange, Summers lamented that the woman had grown distant. He said, I said, what are you up to? She said, I'm busy. Again, that's the coy remark. And then Epstein tells him she's smart, making you pay for past errors. Ignore the daddy, I'm going out with the motorcycle guy. Annoyed shows caring. No whining showed strength. I mean, not bad advice, right? For poor Larry Summers. Other emails show Summers forwarding Epstein notes from the woman and asking how he should respond. I mean, this guy's like in 7th grade, okay? I mean, you're the Treasury Secretary and you're in friggin' 7th grade when it comes to like relationships. He said, think no response, well, I would probably be appropriate, he writes to Epstein. Epstein encouraged the silence, replying, quote, she's already beginning to sound needy. Nice. I mean, really, 20,000 pages in this or 20,000 emails, and this is what we get, all while Donald Trump is walking away unscathed. So now it's all going to come out. And the crazy thing is, these Democrats like Chuck Schumer, I mean, they're just falling all over themselves and humiliating themselves in the process because they seem to think that this is a big deal. And I'm like, whoa, guys, you know what? You had 4 years. You had 4 whole freaking years. And we know you were trying to do everything you possibly could to take him down. I mean, every which way to Sunday, from Fannie Wilson, Georgia, to Letitia James in New York, along with Alvin Bragg and Jack Smith. I mean, you were at it from every single angle you could get, and then you still came up empty-handed, and he still won. Wow. I mean, if you had something, I'm just saying, in the Epstein files, you don't think that would have come out? I mean, you had 4 years to release them, but you never wanted to? I wonder why. I wonder why. Chuck Schumer ignoring the obvious. Maybe he doesn't hear it. Maybe he's going the way of Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi. I ask.
Okay.
Senator, on that note, just I guess a question that's out there. Why wouldn't they have been released the last 4 years when President Biden was in office?
Well, that's the question every American is asking. Or not every American, but so many Americans are asking. What the hell is he hiding? Why doesn't he want them released? When you don't want something like this released, when even a whole lot of Republicans are calling for the release, his own party members, people ask the question, what's he hiding? It's got to be answered by releasing the files. Okay?
There'll be a veto.
Well, he's going to release the files, okay? So I think that's pretty humiliating, Chucky, because you know what? You were the guys that were in charge for 4 years, and you were the ones who chose not to release the files. I mean, I'm like, if there was something there, believe me, you guys would have been all over it. Like, you know what? Here's Stephen Smith agreeing with me.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind that the Epstein files were in existence and free to have been opened during the Biden administration. You were there for 4 years.
Yes, you were.
How come you didn't open it as a Democratic Party then?
I don't know.
What am I missing?
I think there's nothing there.
It's a legitimate question. Maybe I don't remember the answer. Maybe my extraordinary producers should be able to help me during the commercial break.
Here's the answer, Stephen. I'll tell you what the answer is. They don't have anything there. They're just going with the Russia thing, like however they can. This is the Russia 2.0, okay? So they don't have anything, but they can just throw some innuendo out there. And, they can say how Jeffrey really thought that Donald Trump was a scumbag. I'm sorry. Jeffrey Epstein thinks Donald Trump is a scumbag? Like, do you understand the irony in that? Okay? Like, yeah, he's buddies with all of Clinton's friends. He's buddies with the representative from the Virgin Islands who needs to go to him to ask who Trump's assistant is before she clearly doesn't have very good staff because she's clearly not very prepped to do her cross-examination of one Michael Cohen. I mean, this is unbelievable. These people really, they just take the cake, I gotta say. So this whole story is now effectively backfiring, majorly backfiring on the entire Democratic Party.